Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. I just wanted to say hello and say that we got some interesting things that have been happening over the last few days. There's a interesting little report that came out today, which is called the Government Starts Implementing the Expansionary 2023 Budget. The reason why this comes out is because there's a platform called Rabies Securities. Okay, they have a new platform, so I think you guys, if you're interested, it's up to you. Check it out. But one of the things, some of the key points that I saw from them was really highlighted. It says banks to fuel the market's next phase, and that the investments thesis for the banking sector has got a substantial boost coming. I showed you that the post, but basically, if you look at the trajectory of the chart, it went down to a bottom and then it's bounced. And obviously, that's going to be a focus of traders in the future, because the banking industry in Iraq is probably going to blossom. I just would say that that's something that if you have professionals for advisors and stuff, I would take that into consideration. It's kind of no different than today, you guys. If you guys have been paying attention, the gold market, there's some really bright people out there. It's not something that we talk about with Militia Man and Crew so much, but the truth is that I've been following gold for about 30 years, and I believe that what I've seen since 1999 to 2001, or yeah, real close, gold hit a bottom of about $275. And that's what triggered me to pay attention to it. In my room, I posted a chart today that shows a 30-year chart. That chart right there, if you really know how to and understand and can break down charts, I would suggest you guys do it, because what we just witnessed the last few days is that gold proved that it's going to move higher based on technical analysis. And I would suggest that if anybody don't go by my view, but pay attention and look at the chart, understand it, read it, and analyze that aspect of it. And then also look at the fundamentals, of course. Get a professional advisor. But I'll tell you straight up, what I see in the gold market, what I'm seeing happening, I think that's positive. And a shout out to Mark Z for the fact that his good friend Andy has been very successful. And we have a gentleman by the name of MMOL, we'll call it, okay? And kudos to him too, because people that pay attention, they know what they own, just like we do here when we say that we're knowing our investment with Iraqi Dinar. It's important to know what you own, and that's why we study this stuff. We don't know everything, but we do the best that we can, and we try to give you guys the information that's available. Our dear Samson, she works hard. She throws this information like no other. She's very instrumental too, in the sense of the way she rolls and the way I roll. I think we don't talk about it this way, but the cool thing is that making it flow is something that is just kind of grown over the years between us. And so it's not easy for me, but it does help me flow so that I can give you guys information. When you get, it's like in my videos, you'll see that the chronological order of events is easy to understand. And I hope that I can convey that. I appreciate everybody for being here with us. And by the way, everybody that hits that like button and subscribes and keeps this channel going by PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, all of those things help keep the content rolling. So don't think that I don't appreciate it. Don't think that we don't. This is a work. It's a job. It is something that we do, and it takes a long period of time to get the content out. And we try to do the best that we can. So thank you so much for all your support. We appreciate it. It's really cool. But the next thing I'm going to say too is that Iraq is basically switching to electronic systems, digital transformation. You've heard about that for years. It's probably like, oh, that's blah, 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 right? But the fact remains is it's not. It's like real. It's real. So switching to electronic cards from the central bank, what are they going to do? They're going to track the movement of the dinar. okay, that sounds a little bit scary, but I'm not here to scare anybody. The bottom line is that they need to know what their money supply is. They need to know how much money is coming in and how much is going out. They didn't have that before. Now the system, the ISACUTA system, is going to be in place. I mean, the IMF had a deal recently, this month, for 11 days on customs laws. And what system is Iraq going to use? Obviously, you can understand that there's going to be similarities. But in this particular case, it says that they're looking to basically shift towards adopting electronic cards in financial transactions. It will allow the central bank to track the movement of the dinar. Okay, perfect. They need to know these things because of the amount of their money supply, and there's astronomical amount of reasons probably, but think of it. They're doing it. What they're going to do is they're going to create new jobs. They're going to have incentives. They're going to do all kinds of things to make this economy boom. It says the job opportunities, of course, and it says ensuring that the currency is not stored in people's homes. Again, they want to keep track of the money. People are hoarding the cash, so they don't have an allocation or a true factor on that, I guess. But they do know how much they printed, of course, because that's what their job is. But exactly how much is in people's hands and under their mattresses is an unknown. So they're working to get that nailed down. It says the central bank will be able to track the movement of the dinar through the Ministry of Oil's procedures to activate electronic cards at fueling stations. So here, maybe there was some significant amount of corruption going on in cash at fueling stations. Iraq's filthy with oil. It's got a lot of gas. It's got a lot of natural gas. It's got a lot of things. But that's one of the things that they mentioned. So it's basically, it's going to reduce corruption. And they say that which may occur supplying generator owners with kerosene. Okay, so that's just the way their language is in our translations. But the bottom line is that obviously there was some graft going on at the fueling stations, and I think they're going to try to curb that. The bottom line is that the more corruption they curb, the more value they're going to bring to their country, and the more purchasing power they can give to their citizens. And once the citizens realize everybody that's stealing is hurting them, they're going to figure it out. It'll come to an end. But there's more to this. It says the more the federal ministries expand their procedures to shift towards electronic cards in financial transactions, the more they will be able to convert transactions from paper dinars to electronic ones that go directly into the banking system. That's their goal. And we can see it. It's been ongoing for some time. It says working with the electronic system for trading in the dinar will allow the currency to be moved instead of storing it in homes and companies. So it's not just your average Joe. It's big business as well. It says it will be placed in the banking system and re-injected in the form of projects and jobs opportunities. So the more money that these people put back into the banking system, the more money they can borrow, which can do what? Build their country, reconstruct, loan out to small enterprises, go to the private sector. I think you guys can all figure that out. I'm sorry I took so much time on that one. But again, it was about tracking the movement of money. There's another article here that says the Ministerial Council of Economy recommended on Monday to study the procedures for tracking, once again, the entry of imported goods in local markets. So they're not only going to be tracking money, they're tracking the goods that are associated with money. The Deputy Prime Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fawad Hussein, I think everybody probably knows who he is. He chaired a Ministerial Council of Economy meeting. Look, the MCOE got started in November of 2022, and they are the root of the biggest players in Iraq. They are. That's the bottom line. Interestingly enough, in this particular article, what I found to be really interesting is that they mention Ministerial Council of Economy, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Planning, Minister of Trade, Minister of Agriculture, Industry, Labor and Social Affairs, Secretary General of the Council of Ministers, the advisor to the Prime Minister to the Legal Affairs, and the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Oil and the Council discussed paragraphs on its agenda and took appropriate decisions regarding them. That's what they did. But those are the people. But who's missing? Central Bank of Iraq. Not in there. That's interesting. First time I've seen this, because I pay close attention to the MCOE, right? I think everybody should. It's because it's been them, once they've been in office, is why we're seeing all the progress that we're seeing. If anybody doesn't see the progress that we've been seeing, that we've never ever seen before, I think you really should rewind, slow down, back up, go back into history, click on MCOE or Ministry Council of Economics in my forum, for instance, and you're going to get all of the data since November of 2022, and you're going to go, wow, that's powerful. Okay, aside from all of this that they're doing and what they're talking about, they're tracking things. It says they're obliging importers and producers to the tracking systems for goods covered by the decisions of the Organization for Standardization and Quality, pre-inspection certificates, obtaining the Iraqi quality mark certificate enforced by the stripe of the product seals or codes, organizing the standard name of the importer, the distributor, the agents, marking all products and details, so they're labeling everything, they're making sure everybody knows, probably barcodes, and determining the materials covered by the import trade according to the studied plan. Okay, so this paragraph right there itself is obliging importers and producers to track the systems of goods and services. It's like, really? Okay, so who do we have that's involved lately? This month alone, we have the World Trade Organization as of October 31st into the 3rd, had meetings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in this month right now, we have data that supports, let's put it this way, the 5-day course with the World Trade Organization rules in a session negotiated started on the 4th of December at the WTO headquarters in Geneva. A total of 29 government officials from 11 governments actively engaged in their respective accession negotiations are benefiting from this specialized training activity on WTO accession procedures and rules. And who's in there? I know it's tiny, but that's Iraq, okay? Just one. So what we're talking about here is that these guys are really doing what they say they're going to do. They're going to be an international entity, and they're going to have to be an Article 8 compliant currency at some point in time. And that's where all the study comes from, you guys. It isn't because it's just the average guy saying that there's no such thing as the deletion of the zeros project, when all the guys do all the math and they put all these things and says it's not feasible or anything. Sadly, they don't take into consideration all the study that we've been doing, in my view. I tell you flat out right now, I would not be here if I felt that it was going to be anything other than what I expect. I would not. Just like the gold process. When I saw it at $275, it's at $2,000 right now. That's my point of view. I think Iraq's going to even make that even happen even more. It's going to be powerful. So Iraq's market is promising and its investment environment is excellent. So that's what people are saying right now. Even though there's still some corruption, even though there's some insecurity, very little to the degree that it was in the past. I mean, we don't have ISIS, right? But the bottom line is that these guys are talking about Iraq being signing agreements. We have hundreds of companies that have come into Iraq now, or that are actually they're blown away. They know that the opportunity is right. United States, what do you call it? The commerce. What is it? Chamber of Commerce. Forgive me. They're even vocal about it. All of them are. The European chambers of commerce are very vocal about it. In this particular case, it says here that the Iraqis and the Saudi sides in the field of industry and investments support the private sector, and they have partnerships that are stimulating the initiative to raise levels of service between the two countries. Okay. It says they're sponsored by the Iraqi Fund for Development, and we all know that the Iraqi Fund for Development is part of the government program. It says that Iraq and Saudi sides were involved in the private sector for the first time. What do they have? I think they've got a free industrial city for taxes and customs, where they have trade, and they're building 6 factories on the border in Iraq with Saudi Arabia and Iraq. So you got to think about these things. Then you see some of these deals like where they're do a $44 million deal for a cement system so that they can buy and sell and trade and mine cement. And what does that do? All the foundations for all those factories can be poured, all those slabs, all those walls, all that stuff. Cement's going to be huge. Steel's going to be huge. So ultimately, it says here that the Saudi Northern Laboratory in Iraq is one of the most important companies in the industrial field. And they go on to say that basically there's about 6,000 dinars, which is in acreage terms, it's a pretty good sized chunk of property located in Najaf, and they're building those 6 factories. So think about that. When you're talking about going international, you can basically just say like, Saudis aren't going to come in and do anything. Remember the Saudi conference where they put up about 40 billion and nothing ever came of it? Totally different scenario. All those countries did that somewhere else. Now they're all coming into Iraq, so take it very seriously. Here again, it says the Northern Cement signs a $44 million agreement. And what are they going to do? They're going to produce. So they're just, they're pumping it. They're basically stating, what do you have? On their ISX stock exchange, go and look, and you're probably going to find, you're going to see banking, you're probably going to see cement, and you're probably going to see even Pepsi for all intents and purposes, because the Iraqis like Pepsi and they're going to drink it. So it's anyway, as things go, keep your eyes and ears open, and get your professional advisors if you're going to be going into the rabies securities and stock market. And by the way, that article that came out on Friday of last week that was talking about the brokers for the Forex trade, I take it really seriously, because if you noticed in that article that I posted, they talk about the SEC. The SEC has rules. The Globe has rules about paying attention and being careful about advertising. Okay? So when we're talking about going international, they have to be very careful about that. And so when they publish stuff on a Friday afternoon going into a Saturday, they're lightly telling you a story. So just as public information, just like certain other outlets that are, what do you call it? I'm not saying it's Facebook, but there's just different, all these different social media. There you go. Okay. So be careful, but yet pay attention, because there's a lot of social media out there that is highly professional, and they do have a lot of information. And if you know where to look, you can find that what I'm talking about is real. And they're doing all of the things that I'm talking about. And what little I give you, you can find more if you actually know how to look for it. So I suggest everybody that when you own something, especially the Iraqi dinar, and especially when you're talking about assets, you really need some focus. So do that, and I'll leave that alone. Here it says that Al-Sudani talks about reform and represents an important message to local and foreign investors about the government's seriousness in restoring the business environment. Well, of course he is. He's going to restore the business environment is because a development road project's going to come unglued. So did he do anything? Well, of course he has. He's been talking to people about what? Tax reforms. Okay? Because the tax reform is an important message to what? Who? Local and foreign investors. They need to know how their investments and how they're going to be taxed and how it's going to support themselves going into the future. Here's the quote. It says, he added that despite the difficulties that appear on the medium and long-term level, we will reach a stage where the producer, consumer, and investor will feel a state of acceptance and satisfaction after justice has been achieved. They're going to go on to suggest that they're going to be able to rid extortion, eliminate extortion, many things. But he also announced that the total imports, according to the data from the Ministry of Planning, indicates imports that are worth $42 billion. They have put in recently $42 billion. I'm not talking dinar, $42 billion of machinery, goods, and products, which is to do what? They're going to support the country moving forward into the economy. So some of these things that you see in some of these articles are really harsh when they come to al-Sudani's way of doing things. In a nutshell, what did al-Sudani do? He's basically stating we have a 3-year budget. It's an investment budget, and that investment budget is going to be able to pay for, obviously, the side of employees' salaries, et cetera, but you obviously see that there's been some significant issues with that, but they're going to have to fund projects. And so we've seen nothing but loans for salaries. Why? Because they haven't changed the exchange rate, in my view. Projects haven't been paid. Why? Because they haven't changed the exchange rate. Why? Well, because they just need a specific time, maybe? I'm not really sure, but the truth is to me, the truth being, is that everything becomes cheaper once they change the exchange rate. And do they have a time frame for it? Of course they must. They told us that, I think it was Al-Alaq that said that they're done commercially with $1. That's my understanding, on the 1st of this next month. So we're going to have to be, cautious and wise and pay close attention. But here, this particular thing says, we've taken practical steps in banking and financial reform, land administration, electronic payment systems, and support for industrial cities, which is an integrated package that requires reform of the tax system. So he's invoking everything that we've been waiting for. He's been talking about electronic systems, land administration, so giving out land for these industrial cities or allocating land for residential cities. He's doing all this development program that they talk about, the Development Road Project, for instance, right? Take it seriously, you guys, and think deeper than just like it's, wow, this is just like it's supposed to have happened yesterday. We've been talking about this for 20 years. You're right. We've been talking about it for 20 years. I haven't, but pretty close, right? All of these things are true and in print, and we follow it. I mean, think about it for a minute. It's not just the Shafak news and Al whatever news, right? It's literally documents that you can get from the World Trade Organization. You can get them from the United States Treasury. You can get them from the IMF. You can get them from the Middle East Institute. Okay? You can get all of these data if you know how to search for it and realize that what we're talking about here has nothing but legs. It has nothing but everything that we're talking about support. Okay. Anyway, a snippet from June 12th. It says that a budget bill was facilitated by a deal between Baghdad and Erbil. Okay, what was that? June 12th. Wasn't that the 2023 budget law going into play? It surely was. It surely was. International Chamber of Commerce ruled last March in favor of the government of Iraq. So they basically put it to bed. Kurdistan region has to do specific things, and they're going to keep focused on it. They're talking about there's no deficits. How are you not going to have a deficit at 13.10 for exchange rate? The IMF is actually hitting the country, suggesting that they don't have the ability to pay properly. And so eventually what they say is that they're going to not have a deficit. How does that work? They go on to say that they just do not have a budget deficit. There will be a surplus, and stressing that next year will be without a deficit. So we're gonna watch and see how these guys play. But to not have a deficit would obviously be one of those things where if they change the value of their exchange rate, to be a real effective exchange rate, they're probably not lying. Okay, and that's when they say that the dinar is going to be stronger than the dollar. Al-Sudani has said it on record twice or more, and the Central Bank of Iraq has stated that the delete of zeros is not going to be discontinued. He says it still exists, and we'll go from there. Yeah, it still exists, and thank you guys. You can hear my grandson Lincoln in the background. I have a feeling he's excited because I think they're making pizzas out there, and he's very vocal. But anyway, the good thing is too is that this article, and I'm gonna finish up tonight with the issue of a homeland. Okay, it says a campaign to support the Iraqi dinar and make it the gateway to building the country. So they're talking about the Iraqi dinar making a gateway to build the country. They're not talking about the euro. They're not talking about all these other countries, all these other currencies, all these currency swaps. They're basically stating that we're going to do trade in the dinar, and it's going to be the gateway. It says they're encouraging the local currency and dealing with it in light of the current economic conditions the country is experiencing is an important issue, especially with the government's intention to strengthen the Iraqi dinar against other hard currencies, and especially the dollar. They focus in on the dollar, of course, as well as seeking to present it first in order to be a homeland issue only, or in a way. What can you say, right? It says they're encouraging dealing in the dinar in all daily transactions. We've talked about that. Ali Alak, central bank governor, said what? Dollar's gone by January 1st, 2024. By that time frame, okay? It says encourage dealing in the dinar in all daily transactions. It says the call emerges for it to be a gateway to building the country again and to strive to strengthen and advance the Iraqi economy and to reduce dependence on other foreign currencies so that according to the government directives, it is constant and the rest are variables so that the dinar is a gateway to sustainable development. So basically, what are they doing? Their encouragement from the government to use the local currency in daily dealings, right? It's just, I think that like that encouragement is being reinforced here, and it's for a good reason. The citizens will need to know the change that they're about to receive is a key to their well-being. I think you guys can all agree with that, right? No longer being dependent on the dollar or other foreign currencies will be necessary. They're just going to have to do that. They're going to have to launch onto their own. So let's just see how much stronger the dinar is over the dollar. Okay, Al-Sudani, not Al-Alak, but Al-Sudani has stated, and we can find this in our forum, that the dinar is going to be stronger or is stronger than the dollar. So that's the key focus in my view. So I think it's pretty powerful stuff, you guys. I thank you for being with us. And again, if you like our content, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you soon because it's getting powerful. Thank you. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.